From wanting to reprise his iconic role more than anything, to hoping his character dies in the series finale with no point of return. Here's what Grant Gustin had to say about his cameo in The Flash. So in case you didn't know, yes, Grant did hear rumors about his appearance in the film. But the chances of that seem very slim because of how the CW show is expected to end with its series finale. Just because Gustin is done with the role doesn't mean he'll never be associated with it. After all, a lot of actors have been reprising their iconic roles lately. But that's more of a Marvel thing. Grant sees no issue with DC doing the same thing. And when talking to Us magazine in May 2023, the Glee actor revealed that he's open to hearing any kind of Flash pitch. He also said he'll probably be associated with his character more than anything else in his career for the rest of his life. Although he did confirm that he hasn't received any calls pitching him any ideas lately, though that doesn't really matter because he's open to playing the character even if the series hasn't ended yet. He is a speedster after all, right? They always plan ahead, even after an event that hasn't occurred yet, you know, like the Flash movie, which has no sign of Grant whatsoever. Because here's a fun little fact. Did you know the CW show aired a week after Ezra Miller was announced as the film version of the character? Fast forward almost a decade later. One actor is done with his show, while the other hasn't had a proper appearance on the big screen yet. Over the years, Ezra has been in Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, Suicide Squad for like a millisecond, and of course Zack Snyder's Justice League, which was like a hand from the sky above reaching down to help every dissatisfied DC fan in the world. And it was everything people hoped it would be. Plus, don't get me started with that scene where Barry runs back in time to save the League. There's a reason why that's an Academy Award-winning moment. Looking at the Scarlet Speedster with a bigger budget, there's no denying that Grant wouldn't be interested in a project in the DC Extended Universe. Which got fans thinking, is it possible that Gustin is pulling an Andrew Garfield? Now, during the press tour release of Spider-Man: No Way Home, there were rumors of Garfield and Tobey Maguire reprising their roles. The veteran web-slinger had no problem hiding his role in the movie. But everyone, and when I say everyone, I mean everyone, knew that the Amazing Spider-Man was a terrible liar. Despite Andrew not being able to hide the secret properly, his air-quote surprise cameo was a shock to everyone in the world. Gustin's words about being interested in future projects and not getting any call from the studios sounds an awful lot like what Garfield was saying back in 2021. Now, it's obvious that the Glee star can't say a word about whether or not he's involved in the film, even if the chances are slim. Look, I never said they were zero though. After all, these two characters revolve around the multiverse. Plus, they've already met. Are you forgetting the Crisis on Infinity Earths crossover episode? Ezra showing up at Star Labs was a huge surprise to fans, mainly because how it was an unpredictable move by both DC TV and movies. The scene showed a lot of promise, and since it was in 2019, Miller's position as the Flash was still intact, even though the movie was going through a lot of delays and creative differences. The fact that these two speedsters were able to cross paths means that anything is possible when multiverses and time travel is involved. What makes it better is that the two were in the same room together, because a lot of people thought that Ezra filmed their scenes in front of a green screen from another location. Just look at how great these two look together, not to mention the difference in suit quality. And no, I don't mean one is better than the other. Different universe, different material, right? Gustin and Miller are both perfect stars to portray Barry Allen. And seeing them on the big screen together, even if it's for just a moment, would mean the world to some of the fans. Their chemistry is just off the charts. And all this is possible because of the concept of the multiverse. No wonder Marvel is doing it left and right. I mean, this is probably the only reason why The Flash is gonna reboot the DC universe. James Gunn needs a way to introduce the first chapter to his universe, and this movie could do just the trick. From the trailers, it looks like they're basing the storyline on the Flashpoint Paradox, an iconic comic run that involves Barry running back in time to save his mother from dying. This brings about a lot of changes in his universe where Batman is Thomas Wayne, and the entire Justice League is against each other. The comic also has Reverse Flash as the main antagonist, which is one of the bigger differences from the film. Now, the live-action version of the storyline straight up kills every metahuman on Earth and introduces Michael Keaton's Batman, along with Supergirl played by Sasha Callier. The Speedster will face the same villains from the 2013 Man of Steel movie, and in the same setting too. World Engine and all. This movie's gonna be absolutely bonkers. And there's no doubt that we'll be seeing more than one cameo of familiar faces from the past. This is where the speedster from the CW makes his way to the big screen. But the question is, how would that happen? Because there are a lot of fan theories describing how the switcheroo can take place. And unlike other bizarre ideas, this one actually works. Okay, so we all know how the movie's gonna end, right? Barry, or the original Barry, will undo any changes and revert the timeline to what it is. Well, I think that's how it ends. If it doesn't, the plot twist is unknown, and the one that fans want the most is Barry waking up in the body of Grant Gustin. That's the obvious route the movie can take, though there are a lot of different ways this can take place. Gustin doesn't necessarily have to play the titular hero either, because this character has a bunch of alternative versions, and he can take the role of literally any of them. Thinking out loud here, but how wild would it be if he plays Reverse Flash? Oh, that would be insane. That's how the movie side of things would pan out. So how would it happen on the small screen? You see, the series finale is titled A New World Part 4. You know, since it's a 4-part ending. And let's just say that the words A New World can mean so much in terms of deciding the fate of the character. Fans are hoping that they stay true to the original plot where the Flash goes missing. You know, like the newspaper from the future said. This seems unlikely because he's still got a big part in Nora and Bart's lives. But when time travel and alternate universes are involved, you never know what can happen. The last episode's plot synopsis reads that Barry and his team, along with some old friends, have to face a new threat in order to save Central City one last time. Like every other season finale, the Scarlet Speedster could jump between universes or travel back in time. And since the stakes are much higher in this, it could be the last time Barry messes with the timeline. This could in turn lead CW's Flash into the DC Extended Universe. In fact, Grant has an idea or two of his own when talking about the fate of his character. When speaking to the TV Line podcast, the actor talked about how Barry could make one last sacrifice. This was in response to the rumors and other fan theories that have been running around the internet. And here, the fastest man alive sacrifices himself to keep the Speed Force alive. He could then become the lightning bolt that inevitably struck him in the pilot episode, and end up making this full circle effect. Grant found this to be very cool, and to be honest, a lot of people do too. The 33-year-old also mentioned how he always wanted Alan to die a hero's death, like the way Oliver Queen did. Showrunner Eric Wallace was very against this idea, and wanted Barry and Iris to have a happy ending. The problem with all this is that none of it involves his Flash crossing paths in the movie, and at this point, that's the only thing fans want the most. Especially with how Ezra is seen as unfit, inaccurate, and problematic actor to play the role. Whether or not Grant is in the film is still a mystery, and all our questions will be answered on the 16th of June 2023. So from hoping his character dies in the series finale with no point of return, to wanting to reprise his role more than anything, this was what Grant Gustin had to say about his cameo in The Flash.